to order. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Dale Schleter. Here. Jesse Betcher. Here. Tweed Schuman.
Here.
Stacy Hessel. Here. Jason Weaver. Here. Mark Helwig. Here. Tom Duffy. Here. Marshall Savitsky. Here. Brian Bissonette.
Here.
Michael Maestri.
Here.
Chris Rusk. John Righeimer is excused. Ron Kinsley. Here. Ron Buckholtz. Yep. Ed Peters.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. We have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, certification of compliance with open meetings law, please.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Meeting agenda has been presented. Public comment. Anyone here that would like to address the board? Alex, anybody online? Oh. No? Good evening, ma'am. Would you like to address the board during public comment?
I would not. Just good evening, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we don't even need to introduce yourself then. Thank you for coming though. All right, moving on then to number 7, consider approval of our meeting minutes December 20th, 2022. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Any corrections, edits? Mr. Duffy? Okay. Motion by Mr. Duffy, second by Mr. Savitsky to approve our meeting minutes of December 20th, 2022 as presented. Are there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, nice job, Madam Clerk. Next, we'll go to our zoning committee chair report. Mr. Betcher?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have not had a zoning committee meeting since our last county board meeting, so I have no report. I don't know if Mr. Kozlowski is on. I know he wanted to give a end-of-year update for 2022. Is he online?
Is he online, Alex?
Okay, then I have nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, concerns for our zoning chair? If not, thank you, Jesse. All right, number 9, Public Safety Committee Chair Report. Mr. Buckholtz.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The circuit court report, courthouse update there was no significant, update since last month. Clerk of court report, the written report was provided. We do not get any district attorney's office report. I've asked him about it, and he said everything's always the same, so it doesn't bother. So, communication center report, a written report was provided. Sheriff Morotek introduced Deputy Carter Hartling to present information regarding electronic monitoring. They're going to establish a new detective position and 1 dispatcher with a recent approval from the county board. They have established awards committee to recognize staff above and beyond levels of service. Chief Sedera advised it is still difficult to cover shifts. 2 new trainees are almost finished with training and have applied for full-time positions. He reviewed 2 highlights of his report. Patrol report, Lieutenant Rapinski gave his highlights. Jail report, Lieutenant Waller reviewed the highlights, stating that stats will still remain similar to last month. Deputy Carter provided an update on the electronic monitoring system and how individuals are assigned to them. And communications specialist report was provided. The tribal law enforcement grant update. Andy presented a resolution to sponsor the application for the tribe to enforce the tribal animal control program. The tribe will administer this program. A motion was made by Mr. Savitsky and seconded by Mr. Helwig to approve the resolution and forwarded it on to the administration committee. Okay, Child Support Department. A report was provided. Mr. Alvarado presented the MOU with the DCF and the LCO. and advised item 17 on the MOU was, primary a change in identifying how payments and collections will be made. Coroner's report was provided by Mr. Fremmel. He has a few open cases he's still working on, and emergency management department. Mr. Fremmel advised that he's working on the grant applications, working with the Berkey on the race preparation. Ambulance billing, an ambulance report was provided. Mr. Fremmel reviewed that the process of going into properties that have safety concerns. And that ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Helwig.
I just want to add that we did have a very long conversation with the communication specialist on what the current situation is with the communications out there and everything. And we discussed at length his contract, which I did get approved, but it was a lengthy conversation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Helwig.
Mr. Chairman,
yep.
I just found out, I thought this sounded familiar, but they printed me off the wrong minutes. They printed me off last month minutes, so you
Okay.
just got a double header on last month.
Good, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't notice it, but it sounded like it was familiar. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Buckholz. So we have, 2 action items here, and Mr. Alvarado, you wanna take those, please?
Yeah, the appointment of the emergency management director, I think last month I gave you an update on some reconfigurations we had worked with the sheriff on and took through the public safety committee. Last month you appointed the ambulance and medical examiner position, which is John Fremmel, and we split the emergency management director position off of the ambulance position where it had been last year, and now it's an emergency manager and communication center director. And we're recommending the appointment of Nicole Rapinski to that position. Deputy Rapinski is currently our court security officer. She started in dispatch. She's got a good background, and we think she'll do really well in the new position.
Perfect. Ms. Hessel?
I make a motion to approve the appointment of Nicole Lipinski as the emergency management.
Thank you.
Director.
Mr. Helwig?
I will second that.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Helwig to approve the appointment of Nicole Rapinski as our new emergency management director. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Andy, letter C.
Yeah, just wanted to give you an update on the winter storm that we made the emergency declaration for. This was the December 14th, 15th event. You heard last month from our public health officer, Julia Lyons, who really was the head of our incident command. Once that's over, we transition to the recovery, and that's by our emergency management staff. With the transition in emergency management, Mark Gritzmacher as Deputy EM really has been handling that, and then moving that, involving Deputy Rapinski as well. So we had to submit preliminary numbers to Wisconsin Emergency Management by this past Monday. Just as an update, total from Sawyer County, this is all units, all municipalities, is $853,912, which is a $47.25 per capita amount, which is 10 times the amount that we needed to meet for the minimum threshold, which is $444. So we expect to hear back that this is a disaster, and we will see some recovery of these costs. The amount just from the county, from county government, was $413,415. $279,000 of that is an estimate from the highway department of what the total debris cleanup will cost. So we've been really working with Wisconsin Emergency Management and communicating that a lot of the, I would say, clearing was done in the immediate aftermath of the storm, but really there were no debris removed or hauled off. They're all in the ditches under a bunch of snow now, so that's going to happen in the spring. And there's a lot of trim work, tree removal that still needs to be done. I'm sure if you drive down any county road or highway right now, you probably see a couple trees, leading down into the right of way even, and it's just not safe to remove them. So that'll happen in the spring. And we also are communicating with our legislative contacts to try to recover some of the cost of clearing the trails. The snowmobile trails, the ski trails all had similar damage. There were 5 municipalities that either did not submit any costs or did not submit enough to clear the per capita threshold. So as a county total, we need to clear the threshold to be qualified, and then each municipality has to submit enough to get over that threshold as well.
What's the threshold?
$4.44 per capita. And I should point out too, our number does not include the LCO number that was submitted separately.
Okay. But you feel that our number is 800 and some thousand, right?
That's countywide, all
Countywide.
reporting municipalities.
Gotcha. So you're pretty confident we'll get awarded some of that?
Yep.
And when could we expect that money to come then to reimburse us?
I don't think, right now we had to submit preliminary numbers, so we still have, these numbers will move.
Yep.
But I don't expect we'll see any recovery until spring, and it's a 75-25, I believe. 75% recovered.
70-30, I thought.
70-30? Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
North Central Power and Radisson had a terrible time, but they were helped out by administration and Health and Human Services and dispatch. Did a tremendous job of helping the power company get people back in power. I'd like to thank them for that. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. All right. Anything else for public safety?
I have a
Yes,
question
sir.
if I
Mr.
could.
Betcher.
So those 5 municipalities that you spoke about, Andy, what happens if they don't submit that? Will they not get any?
They're not eligible for reimbursement, recovery again.
So are we reminding them to do that?
Yeah, we sent out emails right during the event, after the event, phone calls.
Okay,
Yep. We made sure emergency management tried to reach each one of those.
thank you.
Great.
I don't know the numbers off the 5. I know 2 or 3 just said they don't have anything to report, and the other ones we didn't hear anything back.
No? Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to number 10 then. Public Works Committee Chair Report. Mr. Kinsley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a few things of importance. One is in the Sawyer County Airport. The runway was scheduled for 2023. It looks like that's gonna get pushed back a year, which will affect a few things. At the Highway Department, our Highway Commissioner has resigned as of January 6th, and Brad Vicey is filling that position for us until we can find an applicant to interview with that.
Retired or resigned?
Or he retired.
Okay, thanks. Just sounds better. Okay.
And then we have a couple items of B, C, and D.
Gotcha. Okay, Mr. Alvarado, do you know enough about item C, sir?
Oh, you want me to do B first?
B, yes, sorry.
So just a quick update, $4.7 million of work has been completed and pay orders submitted, and we have about 4.1 left, so we're just over halfway. The contingency fund that was originally $395,000 is down to $198,000, and there's a number of pending change orders that'll bring it down to estimated to be $190,000. Just in the last week, we've had some issues pop up that we're working through related to furniture, casework orders, and electronic locks on some of the doors in the secure area. But other than that, project is proceeding well. The turnover date is still projected to be March 10th.
Okay. Any questions, comments on courthouse update? If not, we'll go to letter C then, sir.
All right. So these came through the highway department. The first one is a speed ordinance. This is on County Road CC, down in the area of Lake Chippewa Campground, and the landing, I believe, is down there. And so this would set a speed zone of 25 miles an hour from just north of the County CC South Boat Landing, 75 feet of North Lake Chippewa, to the north of Lake Chippewa Campground. It's a heavily trafficked area, a lot of foot traffic, I think, on the roads. So that's where the request came through. It's been recommended for approval by the board from the Public Works Committee, excuse me.
Yeah, that's what I was noting, that Public Works approved this unanimously. Okay, Mr. Helwig?
I make a motion to approve the speed ordinance for County Road CC.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Buckholz, approving the speed zone ordinance for County Road CC at the Chippewa Flowage. Is there any further discussion? And this is a clicker vote, correct?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, so everybody,
Let me get the,
motion is to approve.
it's not
The speed
detecting
ordinance.
the participant list, which is up there. That is very strange. 1 second, I'll try
Yep,
importing it
that's okay.
again.
Is there any
Now let's
discussion
try
online, Alex? Any hands up online? No, okay.
Sorry, I
There it
just have
is.
one question while we're waiting for that. What's the speed being changed to?
It's being changed. Yes, 35 to 25.
Okay, because it's 25 right there by the landing, and then you're saying to extend that.
It's gonna extend it down.
Yes.
Okay.
Good question, Mr. Betcher. Yep.
I believe, all county roads, if you have a, ATV route is at 35 unless otherwise noted, right, Ron?
Yep, it's up.
Got it? Okay.
Voting is open.
All right, motion to approve.
Michael
Speed
Maestri?
ordinance county CC.
Michael Maestri, would you cast your vote, please?
Yeah, how do I do that?
Just tell me yes or no.
Approve, yes.
Okay, Brian Bissonette
Yes.
and Ed Peters.
Yes.
Okay, it passed 12 to 1 with one
Okay.
nay vote.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, letter D.
You can cancel me.
So this was presented to from the Highway Committee to the Public Works Committee. On County Road B, there is a controlled access plan in place. That essentially controls the driveways along that stretch of road where you have to issue a driveway permit. If you look at the map, there is currently a parcel that there was a building constructed on. Where you can see noted the approximate current driveway location. There's I just say that there's a long story there, but there's some issues with the building and drainage that is between the building owner and the contractor. But that property owner is Chris Robinson, who is trying to resolve that by acquiring additional property from the neighbor so he can move the driveway 500 feet down County Road B, which would allow the driveway to come in and avoid the drainage issue. And so in order to have that, he needs the committee and then the county board's approval for a variance for the driveway. So he does not yet own the additional land. It's contingent upon the driveway permit. So this would be approval for a variance to the access plan to allow the driveway to be moved, and that'd be granted to Corey Robinson
Right.
for that purpose.
Contingent that he successfully purchases the
Correct.
property. Yep, I was there. And the Public Works Committee, Mr. Chairman, how did they vote? They approved. Okay. So at this, Mr. Helwig,
I make a motion to approve.
thank you, sir. Second by Mr. Schleter, motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Schleter, approving the Corey Robinson driveway request. Is there any further discussion? If not, you have your, do I call these clickers? Yeah,
I call them clickers.
you have your clickers in place. Oh, yes. Oh, sorry, Mr. Betcher.
I mean, that's the busiest county road in the county, and driving that quite often, I mean, it's sketchy just turning on and off of K if they didn't have those turning lines. So, I mean, putting a driveway right there just east of County Road K, right off of B, I don't think it's pretty flat right there. There's not a hill, but if you go up a mile to the Round Lake School Road, I mean, there's just a lot of traffic there, and that doesn't sound safe to me, but I mean, the Public Works approved this and looked at the safety of it. Okay.
It'd be the relocation of the driveway, so there wouldn't be there's already a driveway there, you're just moving it down.
No, very good question and concern though.
Hey,
Okay,
Mr.
voting polls open?
Yes.
Got it.
Mr. Bissonette, would you cast your vote?
Yes.
Mr. Peters
Yes.
and Mr. Maestri.
Yes.
Okay. And it passed 13-0.
Okay, motion carries, thank you. All right, moving on then to number 11, land, water, forest resource, Mr. Betcher.
Yes, we held our monthly meeting on Wednesday, January 11th. The committee approved the Berkey Week event scheduled for next month. Gross timber sales goal of 1.85 million for 2022 was met and exceeded, ending the year at 1.925 million. Timber sale inspections and recons are on track. As of last Thursday, a week ago, all snowmobile trails in the county, including Tiger Cat flowage, are now open, but the lake ice is not at all safe for automobiles. The DNR reports that no cases of chronic wasting disease were discovered in Sawyer County during this last deer season. And the committee voted to approve sending a number of items to the full board, which will be covered in items 11B through E. Pending your questions, this completes my report. I'll turn it over to, are you handling these, Greg? To Greg for number 11B.
Okay. For 11B, we have the emergency fire warden list for the year. This comes through from the DNR for county board approval for a number of the county fire wardens.
Okay, and that's that list provided here, Greg?
Yep.
Yes, Mr. Kinsley? Okay, motion by Mr. Kinsley, second by Mr. Schleter to approve this list, EFW list for Sawyer County Board Emergency Fire Wardens. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Betcher?
I just would add that, I mean, this list I think is smaller than normal because a lot of this is handled online now. You can just get a permit online. You don't have to physically go to the people if anyone's wondering why it's such a short list.
Okay, thank you. All right, do you want a clicker?
Nope,
Leonard?
you can
Nope.
do voice vote for this one.
Okay, if there's no further discussion then, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Letter C, Greg?
Yeah, so you have before you a resolution, and this is a resolution that authorizes me to apply for a Knowles Nelson Stewardship Grant that would be to obtain half the funding for the Cooper parcel acquisition that the county board approved in December. So this is just the first step in applying for that grant in the coming month here.
Sure. Okay, Mr. Helwig?
Make a motion to approve the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Grant Application Resolution.
Mr. Betcher?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Betcher to approve the resolution, the Sawyer County Forest Land Acquisition for Town of Hayward. The Knowles Nelson Stewardship Grant application. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll use our clickers again. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Okay, it is open.
Open.
Mr. Peters, would you cast your vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bissonette?
Yes.
Mr. Maestri?
Yes.
Are all votes in? And 13-0, it passes.
Okay, motion carries. Greg, just one real quick question. How much of that purchase price will this grant cover?
It will cover up to 50%
Okay.
of the appraised value and
Great help.
associated costs with that.
All right, letter D, sir.
Okay, so we have the 2023 annual work plan. This is our plan of work for the year. This document is required for county forest law. This needs to be approved. This enables us to apply for the number of grants, including the county forester administrator grant, which pays for half of my salary and benefits. So, yep, this is our standard plan of work each year.
Okay, Mr. Kinsley? Mr. Weaver? Okay, motion by Mr. Kinsley, second by Mr. Weaver to approve our Sawyer County Forestry Department annual work plan for 2023. You want a clicker or voice,
Nope,
Madam
you can do
Clerk?
roll,
Okay.
or voice call.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Greg, letter E.
Yep, and E, the partnership meeting minutes, this is just background or backing information for the work plan that needs to be approved as well.
Mr. Weaver? Okay, to approve. Mr. Duffy? Okay, motion by Mr. Weaver, second by Mr. Duffy to approve the 2022-23 Sawyer County Forest and Wisconsin DNR Annual Partnership Meeting Minutes. As presented, correct, Greg?
Yep.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Anything else, Greg?
Nope, that's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Schleter?
What was the appraised value?
We haven't got that number in yet. We should be getting it shortly.
Will that be somewhere close to the 80,000?
I hope so, but it's likely gonna come in under what the agreed upon value was, just based on information that we've got on the property, so. We kinda knew that going in, that we'd likely have a lower appraised value than what the agreed purchase price was, so. We should have that by the end of the month was the deadline I got.
And Greg, Mr. Betcher, stated that we met our budgeted amount for stumpage and
Yep, yeah, it was close. I think we got our final payments in on the 27th, so we just squeaked it in, so.
congratulations, thank you.
What was the final amount?
192 something, 1.925 million is what we came up with. Our budget was 185, so.
And what we use for
Surplus, Andy.
this coming year's budget?
185 again. Yep.
Good. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Mr. Betcher. All right, then moving on to number 12, Health and Human Services Board Chair Report. Mr. Schleter?
Thank you. We heard from Marie. Nope, sorry.
Here you go, we got her. Right there.
Okay. We heard from Maureen Bouget, about the, goings-ons, the, happenings out at the tribe. COVID is very, very low. They are continuing, they haven't started, have they broken ground on the health center?
No, just
No,
in the early
They're
stages.
still in the early stages of a new health center. We had Joey Johnson from Senior Resource Center. Last month, we served 25,000 meals. And last night, we had a meeting of the Sawyer County Senior Resource Center, and we approved a formation of a ad hoc committee of 4 people to work with Andy, and we're going to explore every possible idea and every suggestion to make sure that we can provide the best service for the most reasonable amount of money. So after, back to the Health and Human Services, we had all the committee report, not committee reports, department reports. And did we do an action on any of those? Andy, I don't think we did we? No, okay, thank you. But we did join in singling out our Julie and her crew for the good job they did during the power outages. They really stepped up to the plate and helped a lot of people and a lot of the community. I guess that's it for us.
Great. Okay, anything for Health and Human Services? Anyone online, Alex? Nope, okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Schleter. Moving on to number 13, Finance Committee Chair Report, Mr. Kinsley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We get a treasurer's report showing how much sales tax report comes in each year, each month, and that's kind of nice to have. We get a budget update to see where things are at. We covered a lot of ground. We get a capital improvement plan update. We get an investment review and update. We get a carbon credit update. We talk about the financial funds. We talk about ARPA, opioids, and the ambulance financial report. Want to make sure that we're trying to get all the returns we can for that. We get an update from the courthouse expansion. And as Mr. Alvarado said, we have approximately 198 remaining. And we talked about the disaster declaration. That completes my report, unless someone has questions.
Wonderful. Anybody have questions for our finance chair? Anybody online, Alex? And we are moving forward with some investments, correct, Mr. Kinsley? Good, thank you. All right, if not, we'll move on to number 14, Economic Development UW Extension Committee Chair Report. Mr. Duffy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a short report. We met on January 9th. No action items to report. We first of all heard from the Haywood Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. They gave us a general website traffic summary, and the top 3 states for us were Wisconsin, Illinois, and Minnesota. Some of us were surprised that Illinois outpaced Minnesota, but that's what the figures showed. The top 3 activities on the website were snowmobiling number 1, fishing number 2, skiing number 3. Then they also provided us with a new vacation guides, a nice publication that you guys will all have a chance to have copies of. We had a short report on the Fair Association and the Economic Development report. We heard from the Haywood and the Winter Libraries. The Winter Library has just completed a successful fund drive, and they've just completed 3 grant applications. Then we heard from the Motorized Trail report. The last report was not a blessing, really it was tragic. They had to shut down the trails totally for 11 days because the trails were totally impassable. The estimate for cleaning the cost of the trails, and it was in excess of $130,000. They're looking for funds, outside funds, to maybe help with some of that cleanup cost, but it exceeds any money they have. Also, the snow has created a problem with ice, so the ice lake is iffy at best. Then the Berkey's report, all their trails are open. They too had clearing problems, and their cost exceeded $70,000. They too are looking for some outside source help for those cleanups. They now have races every week on the Berkey Trail. The Berkey and the Cortalope registrations are full. This year they have 11,125 registrants, racers. The only races available now is the open track on Wednesday, when you can ski at your own pace. So for those of you who haven't signed up yet, that's your chance.
Mr. Weaver?
Then lastly, Andy gave us an update on broadband. And that completes report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and Mr. Duffy, the Berkebiner then, do they have any concerns with, like Mr. Betcher mentioned about the ice, and you did on Lake Hayward? Is that gonna be
They have
ready?
concern, but the long-range forecast is cold. And so what they've done now is they can't put the groomers on the lake because of the weight. So
Right.
they run back and forth with snowmobiles. So at least they're getting rid of compress the slush. And then when the cold weather comes, it should freeze. So at the moment, it looks optimistic. As a matter of fact, on race day, it looks like it's going to be about 12 to 15 degrees. So the forecast is good.
Yeah.
Abundant snow. I mean, it's some of the best snow they've had in years. So, and it should be a big year for Hayward in the county.
So pretty confident that we'll finish on Main Street like we
Yeah,
always do.
that's all go, yeah. So far, it all looks good. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Betcher?
Yeah, I just have a question for Mr. Duffy on the number. You said 11,000. Why is that cap? That seems low. It seems like it was higher in previous years pre-COVID.
Well, the problem is not the trail. The problem is the Main Street in Hayward. They kind of put a cap on how many people you can accommodate on the Main Street, and the parking is a huge problem. So there's still long range of trying to park some of these cars out of the Hayward area, city itself. And in some of the bigger races in Europe, one in Sweden, for example, they bus everybody in. You just can't park within the smaller towns. So that's the problem. we've got, for a good share of the trails, we have double trails. So we have, it's just a beautiful trail system. But parking is the big problem. So
Is 11,000 the full Berkey and the Quarter Lopez?
Yeah, it is.
All total?
It doesn't include the giant ski and the children's
right.
race and that sort of thing. And they say the open track, they have about 1,000, and they'll take more. But then again, you spread them out on time wise. They don't all start together. They start at your own time and go at your own leisure. Ernie St. Germain, that's the one skier who skied all the races. He skis the open track, and he's got some health problems, so his daughter follows along on the feed stations to see that he's okay. But so it's kind of an attractive way to go. You aren't fighting the mobs, and you kind of ski at your own pace, and you still finish on the main street, and you still get credit for the race. So it's for the main street, it's got to be just a huge. Anglers, for example, you can't find a place within blocks to get in there to sit down for a beer.
Yeah, and there's a race every day, correct?
Pardon?
A race every day?
Every day, yeah. Every day.
Wednesday through Saturday?
And every weekend now, there's races every day.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's huge.
Great. I know it brings a lot of sales tax.
It's a big event for Hayward. So
thank you, Mr.
The biggest
Duffy.
thing is with snow. How long range wise, the biggest concern is snowmaking. I mean, the year's going to come when you need snow, and without snow, you can't do much. Another concern was outside of this snow today is basically there's not a lot of snow around now. Southern part of the state, Madison, Milwaukee, green. Just south of Eau Claire, it's very little snow. So, and if you want to ski the race, if you don't have snow to train on, pretty difficult to climb those hills and feel good about it. So a lot of them are moving now, hopefully, from the race down to the open track.
Gotcha.
Whatever. But anyway, everything looks good. It should be a great race day.
Thank you, sir. Yep. Okay. Moving on then to number 15, County Administrator's Report. Mr. Alvarado?
Just to give you a quick rundown, so Corporation Council, I'll just keep that on here. Kind of have gotten through some big issues, so I think we're tapering off some of their work, but still have them involved in zoning, records requests, and some policy reviews. And some of the items we had through County Mutual with liability coverage have either been addressed or have minimal activity at the current time. Muni Code, we have a contract in place. That's for our Code of Ordinances, which you adopted last month. So I sent out the email to the link. You can find those all online. As we have updates, they'll be posted online in an update section, and then once a quarter, the full code will be updated with any changes. So now that we have Muni Code adopted and in place, actually the work will probably increase because I know a few areas have been holding off on making any ordinance changes until we were done with that. So I know right now zoning is working on ordinance update, public health, and animal control, just to name a few. So you'll be seeing those come through committees in the short term. Courthouse renovation already covered. Personnel updates. We did have a union bargaining session on December 16th, and we did not settle. I'm not sure we made any progress, and unfortunately, to date, we have not had another meeting or any exchange of proposals. So we'll be trying to keep those going so we can get a contract in place for this year. Overall, I'd say hiring has improved. We've been getting some vacancies filled, still short for female jailers in the jail. But otherwise, we did fill like some dispatch positions, and we're also recruiting for filling a patrol position in the sheriff's department. And then outside of that, it's highway commissioner recruitment is ongoing, EMS positions, and a couple of social workers, CPS caseworkers. We have an RFP out for a new or continued relationship with our benefits consultant and health insurance broker. Those are due at the end of the month. Wellness and safety is working on a safety or training in service day later this year. All the annual reviews with the department heads are complete. I think that went well for the first year. We already talked about finalized the structure of emergency services and the new EM communications center position. CJCC did a bylaw update. You'll see that come to the board in February. They added a couple members, and we're trying to incorporate some more county personnel, county staff to be involved as we expand what's happening in that committee or council. And have invited in the HHS staff, primarily for mental health and youth justice. Opioid settlement, there's no new details on the securitization, which would have been the essentially financing to get a larger upfront payment. That conversation has actually cooled off a little bit because there's some concern, there's some contingencies in the settlement as to how the money has to be used. And by securing it, you would take less of a total amount, which might not clear the threshold in the settlement agreements for how to spend the money. So they're still working through that, although it seems like a lot of the counties I'm talking to are backing off on doing that anyway. We have received just over 121,000 in settlement dollars. Those are being held in a segregated fund. The WCA has been coordinating some discussions at a statewide level. There was a third summit last week. Public health has really taken the lead for us in that conversation. Julia Lyons has been active in the opioid meetings. They have put together a gap analysis and a framework of how to address the opioid issue and the overdoses. I was pretty impressed with it myself. It's a multifaceted framework that has steps for prevention, harm reduction, treatment, recovery. You will see that at next month's meeting. They're going to make a presentation, and I think by then too, we'll have a draft budget of how to implement that. There's a lot of pieces there that are going to need to be managed. They're not just all at the county level, but I think it'll be a good program once it's starting to be implemented. Justice Point treatment diversion, as you know, we've received a fully funded TAD grant for this year, and Justice Point has posted the treatment court coordinator position because that will be fully up and running here in the next couple months. Oasis building, no new issues there, just that it is up and running. All staff are moved down there that are going to be there. We've worked through some just operational issues regarding snow removal and cleaning. And that's probably once spring happens, we'll have an open house at that location. No update on the office moves in the courthouse. Carbon credit, Greg and I did a kickoff meeting with the new right around Christmas. Kind of went through the next steps. They will be sending us a bunch of, at this point for the next few months, it's gonna be a lot of paperwork for the forestry office to verify all the due diligence work as far as the species mix and growth rates and a lot of, I guess I would call scientific work to determine how many credits we'll be able to issue. The stewardship resolution you passed is for the Cooper land. We did close on that in December, complete that work, complete that acquisition. Senior Resource Center, like Mr. Schlueter mentioned, we did have a meeting with them. One thing, instead of additional cash assistance during the budget process, we discussed some in-kind help through our IT and maintenance staff. So we've, then both those departments are on board to provide more, I would say, consulting services to Senior Resource. And then we did extend the offer to help them work through any improvements in their meal service program to keep it to be cost effective, which it sounds like they're going to take us up on. The policies we adopted last month are implemented. We still have a few outstanding items that we're working with LCO. The child support MOU, the 161 agreement, and the ATV, UTV ordinance are all still works in progress. And the county LCO cooperative trial law enforcement grant that you approved last month was awarded, and we signed off on the paperwork this week for those funds to be dispersed directly to the tribe. Like the public works report regarding the airport, winter weather and snowfall has been tough on everybody, including the airport. Our equipment probably has been down more than it's been up, but it is fully up and functional now. We were able to get the state to move up the timeline for replacement of the equipment because of the way it's gone this year. And then the runway rehabilitation, like Mr. Kinsley said, has been pushed out a year, but we have been having discussions almost every day since for the last week and a half on that, and we're hoping to maybe see that move back up. So just a lot of things happening there. And then broadband will be coming back around with the new rounds of funding. We had a couple inquiries from the providers. First one came from BevCom, just to provide a letter of support. We don't have the ARPA funds to do any big partnerships, but at this point we're committing to letters of support and a nominal dollar amount just so they can include that on their applications to help with how many points they can score so they can be awarded the state broadband dollars. And then beyond broadband, we're also working with the Development Corporation on a potential housing project opportunity that's that the county or the city is a finalist for through Northwood Technical College. That is my
And you already
report.
kinda gave us the emergency declaration.
Yeah, I
update,
covered
correct?
that
So
already,
you get that. Oh, I'm sorry, who?
And no
Oh,
question,
yes.
there's a lot there, and so it's now loaded to your packet if you wanna review it.
Oh, his report?
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, yes. So, Mr. Kinsley, who's watching our snow removal budget at the Highway Department? Our interim highway commissioner? 'Cause this has gotta be a massive expense.
Just over and out of salt.
Okay, anything from Mr. Albrado, anyone on his report? All right, correspondence, reports, conferences. Do you wanna mention, Madam Clerk, about the legislative update that's coming up? If anybody would be interested in March, is that Andy?
Is that the WCCO one?
Yeah, WCA Legislative Conference is March 1st and 2nd, I believe, in Madison. 2-day event.
Yep. So if there's any board members, I know Mr. Betcher's gone in the past, I have to the legislative update, just, contact Andy or Lynn or myself and we'll make sure you get down there. Okay? All right, if nothing else, anybody online, Alex? Mr. Bissonette or Mr. Maestri or Mr. Peters, do you have anything?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, if not, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Travel safe going home. Appreciate you being here.